Hello everyone, Stig here. If you've been following us on social media, you'll have seen that myself and Oodles have been doing a weekly Loki spoiler special on our Patreon feed to coincide with a new Loki TV series on Disney+. For those of you not on social media or signed up to our Patreon, we wanted to give you a teaser of these episodes, so we've put out episode 1 for everybody to listen to for free. We're planning on doing MCU related spoiler specials on top of our regular monthly specials on the Patreon. So if that sounds like something you'd like, or if you've enjoyed this free episode and would like more, then you can sign up for these at patreon.com/modernescapism. Thank you, and please enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to Modern Escapism's Loki spoiler special. For this, you are in the presence of myself, Stig and Oodles.
Hello.
Hello, and we're going to basically not do a deep delve into the Loki, but we're going to have a nice good chat around each episode for the next 6 weeks and talk about our theories, what we thought of the show and everything, and just a nice good spoiler chat around the show.
Yeah, be warned. This is spoilerific.
Yes, so if you haven't watched Loki and want to watch Loki, go away, watch it, then come back and listen.
Yeah, do not start with us.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. Right, so first off the bat, Oodles, what did you think?
Do you know what? Strong start. Really strong start. It felt like the most MCU of all the shows we've seen so far. I've seen a lot of people say that the Falcon Winter Soldier felt really MCU-y. I think this felt even more like Phase 2, Phase 3 MCU for me. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really, really strong cinematography. Great characters already, which is really good. I know we all loved Loki anyway, and Tom Hiddleston's born to play that role. But yeah, just really solid start. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd say, like you said, it's the most MCU, and I do think Falcon and Winter Soldier is that kind of typical like superhero thing. But I'm enjoying what they're doing with these TV shows regardless. Like WandaVision was something very different. This looks like it's going to be something very different and just go off even further into the madness of comic book
Yeah,
lore.
I think unanimously we both enjoyed the last two shows, didn't we?
Yeah, I wasn't as high up on Winter Soldier.
No, WandaVision absolutely
as
smashed
WandaVision.
it.
Okay, first off then, we're going to do a quick recap of the show so we can both kind of remember what happened. So the show starts basically in Endgame.
Yep.
The show recaps what happens in Endgame, where Loki gets hold of the Tesseract after Tony drops it, and he disappears.
Yeah.
And then from there we see where Loki went.
And that was scene for scene the same, wasn't it? They didn't add any additional bits.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
I think.
I'd like to say so.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything different in there. I think it's just pretty much this is where Loki was, and now we're going to often follow his story.
I genuinely didn't expect to see it like that.
No?
I didn't think they'd just dive straight into that. I thought it'd be a bit more of a mystery at first, but no, I appreciate the fact we were just straight in, bang.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? Because then what happens is he turns up in Mongolia, of all places.
Yep.
For some reason, the Tesseract takes him
Gobi
there.
Desert.
He tries to rule over the people who turn up.
Straight away.
Straight away, tries to rule over them. They have no idea what he's saying. And then the TVA show up.
Absolutely.
So there's literally, there's no hanging around. There's no Loki just wandering off doing his own thing
Solid
for half
pace.
the show. It is literally TVA show up and arrest him and take him back to wherever it is they come from. Because I have no idea.
I do.
Yeah, I don't know what that place is at all. So yeah, he gets taken there. They strip him of all his possessions and clothes. He goes through a bunch of tests to see whether he's a robot, which I really enjoyed that bit,
good.
actually.
That is actually ripped straight from the comics as well.
Yeah, where he was just like, so the robots not know they're robots?
Yeah.
The guy's like, not always. He's like, how do I know if I'm a robot then? It's that look of fear
So
on his
good.
face as he's going through that scanner. So yeah, he basically goes through processing, and he goes down a light queue to go to then be put into the court. And while he's there, we see a video from Miss Minute, is it?
Yep, Miss Minute.
Yep, Miss Minute shows a little cartoon shows. It's basically an exposition dump for the viewers, but for
It's
Loki as well.
very Fallout Pit Boy, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminded me of like Hanna-Barbera cartoons
yeah, it did,
as well.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
I liked it.
So that basically tells us of what the TVA are and the 3, what are they called? What the
Timekeepers.
Timekeepers, that's the one.
I wondered what you meant.
No, I was going to say Time Lord. I was like, no, that's the wrong show. So yeah, it tells us about the 3 timekeepers and them keep wanting to keep a steady, perfect timeline.
The TVA does stand for Time Variance Authority.
Yes. So they are there to basically keep things in check. The timekeepers want this steady timeline of flowing and nothing to disrupt it. And Loki has disrupted that.
Yes.
So he goes through to the judge. The judge basically says he's guilty. At which point, Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, turns up.
Excellent.
And decides, speaks to the judge and says basically he can use Loki. What he's using him for is, sorry, I've skipped over that, is that they've found that someone is going through time and basically killing people and caught doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
But the TVA can't get there in time to stop it.
What they call a variant.
Yes, so there is a variant fucking shit up in time.
Yeah.
So basically Mobius thinks he can use Loki.
Yeah.
Sets off a long kind of scene of Loki and Mobius talking with each other. He's basically showing Loki he's telling him what's going on. You were meant to do this.
It's a bit psychoanalytical as well. He's asking him, what do you want? Who are you? And Loki's like, it's obvious who I am. I'm a god. And he's breaking him down.
Yeah. It feels like we're kind of watching in on their therapy session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he basically on a screen shows Loki everything that's going on, and what should have happened to Loki, and he shows
future events,
Frigga's death, and he was the reason for it and everything. He leaves the room, comes back, and Loki has escaped.
Yeah, as he is wanting to do.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a chase around, looking for Loki.
Yep.
Eventually, he goes back to the room after discovering something, which we'll touch on later.
Yep.
And he decides to watch the rest of his story and sees that he basically dies at the hands of Thanos.
And we see Loki cry.
Yes. So he pretty much realizes that everything that he wanted and the power that he wanted was pointless because this place he's in is just more powerful than he could imagine.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it for Loki, isn't it? And then
there's a few bits where some of the agents are discussing with each other. There's the end credits scene.
He goes through and has a little chat. They're wandering around and he's chatting with Mobius, and Mobius shows him the world that they're in and everything. And then we kind of get this bit at the end with this hooded figure who kills a bunch of agents and stops them from resetting time.
That's it, yeah.
So yeah, it's a very talky episode. There's not a lot of action at all, but I really like that. I kind of like that it didn't just need to kick off with a
I agree, mate.
typical like fist fight and everything, because every time Loki actually tries, they've got a device on him which flicks him back in time, back to where he was, so you can never get close to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about the TVA. I've never heard of them. I don't know who the timekeepers are. It's not one where I've kind of even come across them in the cartoons I've watched. I've never read the comics. Oodles is our resident comic reader on the show when it comes to stuff like Marvel. So he knows a lot more about it. So can you kind of fill us in a bit more about who the TVA and what it is that they're trying to do?
Yeah, they did start, I believe, in Fantastic Four. Now, Fantastic Four, back in the 60s, 70s and 80s, it went a bit wild because you've got to create something for superhumans to... Bear in mind, this is a superhuman team that has stopped and defeated Galactus multiple times. So you've got to make big villains. And the TVA, basically, they were created by, similar to like Celestials, like gods, to basically keep the I think they call it the neutral timeline in the comics, like the key timeline for because there's something, a massive event happened in the Marvel comics called the Secret Wars.
That's coming, isn't it?
Yeah, a time war basically. And these gods and these I'm deliberately being vague because I don't want to spoil some names in case it spoils some things. But these gods decided, rather than having all these multiverses just flying off, like DC, they absolutely love a multiverse. They love a multiverse more than anyone. But it helped the comic books, the writers as well, by just having this like supreme timeline, this neutral timeline where it doesn't branch off as much as like DC and stuff like that. There isn't 52 Batman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just narrows it down a little bit easier. So after this Secret Wars, the TVA was established. Now, in the comics, they don't seem as powerful as they initially seeming on this show straight away. Like some of them have operated in the Baxter Building or in the Avengers Tower. Do you know what I mean? It's quite a well-known thing. And the number one villain that stems from the TVA is Kang the Conqueror, which looked like one of the timekeepers in this show.
Well, we're going to talk MCU. If you listen to this, then I'm going to talk about stuff that Marvel and Disney have confirmed.
Absolutely.
Kang is confirmed for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
which makes sense because the quantum realm is one of the untapped realms in the whole universe.
So all this stuff of multiverses, Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, the stuff that we discovered in WandaVision about her being a Nexus witch, or is it? I believe, like everything. This clearly all connecting together. That this is going to be some, and then we have that little cartoon talking about a multiverse war, which is probably what you would referring to.
Yeah. So basically, what it seems like, because obviously the TVA doesn't exist in time as we know it. It's a constant place where the future, the past, and the present doesn't matter. Everything's always flowing. So to the TVA, these wars and these events and these crises, they've all happened and not happened and are happening at the same time.
Yeah, because they do make mention of things about knowing things that happened, don't they? So at one point, Loki says, "Don't arrest me. I'm not the one that was playing around with time. The Avengers were."
Yeah.
And this is so hand-wavy away, where they're just like, "Oh, but the Avengers were meant to do that."
Yeah, they're part of the sacred timeline.
They're like, they were meant to do that. It's fine. And I was just thinking, hang on. If they were meant to do that, then surely Loki's meant to be here.
Well, I'm gonna get on the things I didn't like later on about that, because there's some things.
I've got a few things that make no sense, and they've just kind of as much as I liked it, they've kind of just hand wave stuff away.
Yeah, and now I mean this is the MCU, and they have deviated from the comics many times before. They know how to play on it, but they can also change it up as much as they want.
Yeah. What kind of like gets me as well though is that because of them now jumping into these kind of things, like messing around with times and dimensions and stuff, things that they've kind of done in the previous films, they don't make sense, and it's like they can't erase them anymore because they never went forward with it. So like, for example, they're saying this is the main timeline. Mm-hmm. So what we're saying then is, okay, so if this is the main timeline, that means that Captain America, his relationship with Peggy is part of the main timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that Peggy must have known that her uncle was Captain America when she kissed him.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, so like Cap wouldn't know at that time.
No, he wouldn't know.
That's fine.
Basically, Marvel have always done this. Your own individual timeline is your own individual timeline. You don't remember things if someone's gone and meddled with past. You don't remember. Yeah. You can't do the Back to the Future, steal an almanac type thing in the MCU. So, yeah, your set path, your individual set path is your individual set path. So, yeah, Cap wouldn't have had a clue, but his niece would have.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe a bit of retconning editing they might need to do.
Yeah.
But, like, the same thing is like, I was reading someone say, why wouldn't Cap stop S.H.I.E.L.D. taking over... Hydra taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. or stop something like 9/11 or do this or do that. And I think that this show has already shown why, because they've gone back in time twice in the show to reset time where a variant has tried to fuck something up. So in my mind, I'm just thinking, Cap might have tried to do something, but they've come to him and said,
you can't do this.
You can't do this.
And then reset him.
and they've reset him
Yeah.
and put him back and put the timeline. That's another hand wavy way thing away, but that's kind of how I'm choosing to believe.
I think that's how they're going to have to go with it. Like the fact that this next phase is obviously it's centered around time. It has to be.
Oh, completely.
It's the phase of time, and it's going to get to the point where I think the Russo brothers were testing the waters with the time heist and things like that. If the general public can get to grips with this, we can go forward with this. And everyone, they explained it brilliantly in that film in Endgame. So yeah, why not? Let's get a bit crazy with it.
Yeah, I thought it was easy enough to follow.
Yeah,
the Captain America was the only kind of thing at the end where it's a bit like I'm not kind of sure how he's ended up here if the time split, blah blah blah. But I think this show's kind of explaining more about that with this steady timeline, and they're obviously saying we're here to stop multiverses happening. We're here to stop.
It's mainly to stop the variants from twisting time to in their favor.
And we know that, like, Wanda is now starting to look at this kind of stuff. We know Doctor Strange is about the multiverse. We know that Ant-Man and the Wasp involves Kang the Conqueror and the quantum realm and stuff. So it's all kind of coming together.
What you've got to bear in mind with Marvel, same with most comics, science and magic are always at opposite ends of the spectrum. So the TVA, in the books, and it seems to be this way, the very technological side of it, they use tech, and everything's explained via tech. Then you've got your Wanders, you've got your Doctor Stranges, which is magic, and they can be at odds. Do you know what I mean? Like, they literally have shields in their agency to stop magic being used. They mention magic multiple times. Do you know what I mean? With Loki, so yeah.
Well, they stop him, don't they?
Yeah.
He can't do his magic. Like, where he's at, he's basically just a regular person.
It's always the opposite to technology. It's always the yin yang type thing. So that's the crux as part of the Secret Wars as well. It's like tech and magic mingling, and
yeah. Right. So let's move on from that then for now and get more into the psyche of Loki and what happens to him in this episode. So where we pick up with Loki is that he is 2012 Avengers.
Yeah, the
Loki.
despot.
So he hasn't been through Thor: The Dark World. He hasn't been through Ragnarok. He hasn't
even had a character arc at all.
Yeah,
at that point, he's just a baddie.
At all. Like, so all this reconciliation he kind of does with Thor, and yes, he's still a bit mischievous, and
it's in his nature.
He's a bit of a baddie still, but he's kind of turning more to a good side in those films. He hasn't done that yet.
No,
and I think that this one episode has
just turned it all around.
Did it all in one episode by showing him those things. So we go from this meeting of him and Mobius sat down, and he's basically just going on and on like, I'm a god, I'm this, I'm that, I kill because I want to, and I can kind of thing. And Mobius is kind of trying to get into his head like, why do you do this?
Yeah, no one just does that.
Yeah, and he because he knows. He's seen the timeline. He knows that there's redemption in Loki.
He was the one that had his tape. His let's say his consciousness tape.
Yeah, and he's seen what Frigga's death actually does to Loki. In when she gets killed, like he tries when Thor actually goes to the cell and he takes the illusion away. He's actually wrecked. He's a wreck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So he has all this with Mobius, and then Mobius leaves, like we said. And Loki, he obviously leaves a control behind by mistake, and it means that Loki can escape, and he gets around the facility.
Yeah.
And the one thing he finds in the facility is a drawer full of Infinity Stones.
Mate, I was screaming at the telly. Oh my god! Now there is two sides to this. In the books, and I don't know if it's mentioned much in the films. The Infinity Stones only work in their timeline, in their actual proper timeline. So, in that realm, in the TVA, they wouldn't work. They wouldn't be anything. So, I don't think, like a lot of people saying, oh, you've just absolutely people died for those stones, you know what I mean? And it's just turned into nothing. They've turned into paperweights. I don't think that's the case. He takes them stones back to the timeline. He's all powerful. It's that simple.
Yeah.
They're in a, let's call it like a space between spaces in the TVA. like all the workers there, they don't eat. They don't know what the outside world is. They are just automatons that work there forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. What did you think when you saw all that? And there were loads. There were extras.
Yeah, it's like literally just like, it wasn't just a case of, there was one of each stone. It was just a drawer full of different, like there was at least 3 power stones, 3, reality stones or something in there. It's just like...
And he picks up the green one and nothing happens. It doesn't hurt him.
And the guy's like, we've all got them. Most people just use them as paperweights.
Yeah, he's giggling. Did you notice that guy had a little bit of ink on his pocket as well? Like he was just an incompetent little office clerk. Yeah.
He was really, wasn't he? He was just like bumbling away and everything.
Didn't know what a fish was.
See, at first, I did kind of think, does this not feel like it just has undone the last 10 years of Avengers, where we've just spent the last 10 years of films building up about the Infinity Stones are the most powerful thing. When they come together, the most powerful thing.
It was created when the universe was created.
Yeah, but in this little space, in this little dimension and realm or whatever it is,
nothing.
They're nothing. They're like just pebbles from a garden. Like it's...
Yeah.
But it serves as a purpose.
Yeah.
Because it suddenly dawns on Loki that these are effectively useless.
The baubles, aren't there? They're nothing.
Yeah, like he could take them back to the timeline, but there's nothing to stop the TVA just stopping him do that. The reason they didn't stop Thanos is because, in their words, that was meant to happen.
It was meant to happen.
For whatever reason. I don't know why. But that was meant to happen, apparently. But yeah, and it kind of... Loki then has an epiphany, doesn't he? He's like, is this real power? Like, basically stood in an office.
Is this the most powerful thing in the universe?
And he's just stood in an office.
Yeah,
like he was looking at a screen, but I didn't see anything on the screen.
It was like a computer, wasn't it? It was like a
but
a monitor.
It didn't seem anything like special.
No,
it felt more like he was just kind of... I'm stood in what is effectively a regular-looking office, and this is more powerful than the 6 Infinity Stones put together.
I think that's the juxtaposition. It's like, on one end, you've got the mad titan Thanos that literally achieved his goal, and then you've got these guys that have got ink spillage on their pockets. They're using biro pens, and they're using the Infinity Stones as paperweights. It's that's a head fuck. That's a head fuck. And bear in mind, this is old. This is younger Loki, a Loki that hasn't been to wild, crazy places where the Master is and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? He hasn't done all this. He hasn't been on these wild adventures. So, it instantly changes his character to, okay, I'm at your mercy. That's how it seemed to me.
Yeah.
I will help you because fuck if I know I can deal with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's kind of why he goes back to the room and watches the tape.
Like he takes his collar off and his cuffs off, and he doesn't even attempt to leave. He has a play with the time skipper with that guard woman, doesn't he? He has a little play with her. He enjoys that.
Yeah. She was. I thought she was great.
Yeah, she's
good. Hunter B-15.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like as hard as nails.
Yeah, I think we'll see more of her.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think we will. But yeah, he plays the time skipper. Sees he's basically just sits there and watches his life play out. Watches
it's awful.
Frigga's death again. He watches his kind of...
Do you know the scene that made me, and it's the first scene that his eyes started watering after his mum, were when Thor said, I believed in you, I would follow you forever. What's the words he says? He says something like...
I can't remember.
He's like I'd fight by your side forever, do you know what I mean? And then, like what he says in Thor Ragnarok when they're on the lift. Like, I trusted you and stuff like that. That looked like it broke his heart. Because as much as Thor's his number one rival, he's also his only friend. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not technically blood brothers, but they are brothers.
Yeah, you don't have to be blood to be brothers. But yeah, and then he sees his own neck being snapped.
Yeah.
That's enough to... He shook, didn't he? Like, Tom Hiddleston was like, ugh. It was so cool.
It makes, like, the Loki actually, like...
Yeah. It made him look weak, didn't it?
Yeah, he's like, fuck, like, I'm... Like this, I mean, at this point, I don't know if he knows who Thanos is.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does because obviously he got the Tesseract from Thanos' underling. Yeah. But
yes, he does.
He probably never had a full-on audience with Thanos. He probably just knew of him.
And he probably didn't think that his death would just come at the hands of being strung up and his neck being snapped so easily. So yeah, that kind of just basically just gives him a full redemption arc in one episode.
Yeah, it really does.
Kind of brings him back to where he is.
And luckily,
in the MCU.
even though Loki's technically dead, now we've got a Loki that knows everything, so he didn't have to have it all explained to him again. So it cuts it out.
True.
We don't need another origin. It's all cut out.
No. And this thing's like, I mean, obviously we have no idea where the show's going, and we have no idea if Tom Hiddleston wants to carry on with Loki.
It'd be daft not to.
Even if he makes it out of this show, but like, surely, if he does and he's going to carry on, we're surely going to see him in Thor: Love and Thunder or whatever big coming together film happens.
I think Loki's going to be, and I had this thought after watching it yesterday. I think Loki's going to be in a few end credit sequences for a few films. We're going to see his mini little exploits every so often, just appearing for a split second, and then he will be back.
Yeah, maybe he becomes part of the TVA.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If he comes, let's say it is Kang the Conqueror, the ultimate bad, or Galactus, or something like that, because he's got to be big to beat Thanos, or it is Secret Wars. Having someone with the backing of the TVA could be the, do you know what I mean? The Trojan horse that they need. That little bit, like the on your left, like that scene.
Yeah.
You need that something.
Yeah. They're all dying, and then just Loki just turns up with a bunch of those doors up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's an arrow in his quiver now, so I think this show coming up now is going to be him accepting his new role, because like Owen Wilson, Mobius says, like it's something like this fate's worse than death, and then there's something was said about like I'm giving you an opportunity rather than, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because we see that there is another person who comes in with Loki at the beginning who's just an arsehole. We have no idea why he's there, he's there for. It's never explained, but he literally just gets prodded with what looks like a cattle prodder and disintegrates in midair, and that kind of sets Loki off in it. Maybe I should comply.
I've got a feeling that if you die there, you've died everywhere.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure. I think sure that's it. Like once you're dead, that's
you ain't
it.
coming back from TVA.
No. So yeah, I think after that he has a little wander with Mobius and they have a little chat and everything, and he kind of shows him.
You see
where
the city,
they are.
don't you?
You see the city, which is kind of like.
I'm not going to tell you what that city is yet.
I don't know what it is. I can't figure out what it is. I'm sat there thinking, where is this place? It's in time, but not time, and no realm.
Yeah, I can't tell you that, mate. I cannot. Honestly, I'd love
you
to.
saying that like Kang the Conqueror? Don't tell me, but you say stuff like Kang the Conqueror is one of the timekeepers. He's in Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're all about the quantum realm.
Ooh.
Like in my mind, it's like they're in the quantum realm because time's.
Think about places that don't get affected by the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, because Ant-Man survived in the quantum realm, but then again, he could have
just been one of the lucky.
It could have just been one of the lucky ones that didn't get snapped.
Yeah.
But there's definitely something that happens in there because I think Paige's mum had mentioned something briefly in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's very like kind of blink and you'll miss it comment, or like she just says something and they don't really touch on it.
Yeah,
and I think that's where they were going to start looking at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp before they got snapped away.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
We will see if it's going where I assume it's going, which I've assumed a lot of things are going a lot of places, and they've changed it. They've span it around. Like I knew we'd see, like for instance, we'd see Grey Vision in WandaVision. I knew we would, but I didn't know how it would end, and they absolutely shattered what I thought. So they know how to keep the fans happy, but surprise the long-term fans. Because I've got a feeling like Kevin Feige now has probably read every single Marvel comic book.
Yeah, he said that he reads the comics and reads all the news stuff that comes out and stuff as well. He can take anything from that, and he's very much into it. He's not just a studio head who's good at managing things.
I think he's got it planned. And I think Secret Wars is going to be the new end game. Because in the books, Secret Wars
a TV show,
and that's the weird thing, man. That's the weird thing because it's the biggest event that Marvel ever had. And they're making a TV show of it. It's like, what? So
see what they do.
There's Kang the Conqueror. There's Galactus still. Silver Surfer. There's all that. There's a lot of Celestials and stuff. And
Yeah, well, we've still got
Living
all,
Tribunal. We've got lots of stuff.
the Eternals and stuff to come out with. See how that factors into things and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then they kind of mention that there is this variant running around time and killing people and doing things that they shouldn't be.
Did you notice the murals on the wall of devils?
Yes. So when they first show the devil, so what happens in the first one? They're in a church and there's a little girl who survived
it's like
the
15th
killings.
century France, isn't it?
Yeah, and Mobius asks her who did it, and she points at a stained glass window of the devil.
Yes.
And instantly I'm like, Mephisto.
Yeah, we were like that in WandaVision though, mate.
Because everyone was like that in WandaVision, and I was like, but then they actually pointed at an actual devil.
Yeah, Mephisto is literally, if you don't know, Mephisto is Satan. He is Satan in the MCU.
Yeah, but then they kind of hint, or I don't know if they actually say, or they basically say it's another Loki variant.
He says, the reason we need you is because it's you.
Yeah.
So someone running around is you. But is he saying it's you as in it's Loki, or it's a god like you?
Yeah, I don't know. If to me, I was thinking, if it's another Loki, then how did he get there?
How? Which Loki is it?
Yeah, where did he come from? And then I had a little theory and thought, and I don't know why this character would do this, but then I thought, what other character suddenly started fucking around with time and realms? Wears red, has a thing with horns on, and it's like, what? At the end of WandaVision, Wanda looks like a devil.
I thought the exact same thing. Little hood on. They deliberately didn't show us scale of the person in the hood because there was tall grass. Didn't see any like high heel boots or anything like that. It was just a hood from the back. Dropped some fire on some petrol. Could have been anybody.
Because they say like obviously Loki's original costume is he's got big huge horns.
Yeah, the gold ones.
Yeah, but like I just
Loki's
thought
horns are more like ram's horns than devil horns, like the curl.
And the writer of this show is a co-writer of Doctor Strange.
Oh.
And the Multiverse of Madness,
which we know Wanda is going to be in,
and we know Wanda's going to be part of that. So these guys are all clearly like now they're all kind of working together. It feels like these are a lot more like they're working together rather than what a lot of the other MCU was. We have this kind of overarching storyline.
It has to eventually lead to this rather than
fit it in a little bit, but do your own thing. Yeah. Whereas these shows now seem to be apart from not the
Winter Soldier one.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. That's kind of its own thing in
that
reality
was such a low scale, low stakes story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's just more like
Saturday
a
morning.
Follow-on.
It was just nothing, was it? Like
it's just a follow-on for Sam, really. I think to set him up to where he needs to go.
Absolutely, it's brought Sam back as the leader of the Avengers if the Avengers get back together.
But the way WandaVision ends, the way this has started, with the names of the things we know that are coming, like we said, the multiverse, the quantum mania, like the quantum realm and everything, it all kind of feels like they're kind of pulling in the same direction with these. So that's where my theory is at the moment, that could be Wanda. Don't know why she's killing people.
I mean,
she has kind of gone a little bit crazy.
She is now the Scarlet Witch, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't control the powers sometimes. So, I mean, my only theory, and I'm not going to go into exact theories because it could be closer than I'd like. My wild speculation is obviously like Mobius. If you don't know, his real name's Mobius M. Mobius, which is that's an incredible name. But
Triple M.
Yeah, he's basically, let's say, an all-knowing Hank Pym type guy. Do you know what I mean? He's even in the comics. He's met Hank Pym. He's met Tony Stark. He's a smart man but in this, he was more of a lawyer / psychologist. So already they're changing that up, which means it makes me feel like Mobius in this has already failed at a certain task back in the day. It feels like
it's like he's trying to redeem himself.
Trying to redeem himself. Now, as he failed at the Secret Wars, as he failed with Thanos, did he fail with Scarlet Witch? Did he fail with somebody that we know?
Yeah.
So that's what it feels like to me. This is a man that has worked at an agency and he was asked how long he'd been here. He's like, I don't know. What is time? Do you know what I mean? He could have been there millennium. And this is a man that seems like, I'm now asking Loki because he's my last hope. And
Yeah.
I've tried it by the book all this time, and it's failed. So I'm going to go wild. I'm going to use this Asgardian so-called god. I'm going to see what we get. I genuinely don't think it is another Loki. I don't. I think what he meant is it's you, as in it's someone like you.
Yeah. Or maybe it's someone that can shapeshift.
Yeah,
to look like Loki.
That does lead to Mephisto if it's shapeshift, but it's too easy. I think Mephisto. It's very easy to just say, "Oh, it's Satan."
Yeah.
And I don't think Feige wants to do that anymore. I don't think he wants to make it too easy. So yeah, it's interesting. I like where it's going, and I love the 70s aesthetic for it because that's when it came out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything in there's like from the cartoon to like the screens to like the way people
it's all 70s, isn't
dressed. It's all like very 70s looking, which is pretty cool.
And it looks like the DVA where Americans get the driving license, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much. Like when he walks in and like take a ticket.
Yeah, and they have to go around the turnstiles.
Go around the whole turnstiles. Yet he was the only one like in that queue.
Yeah.
I was just going to say actually when you said that on Mobius, I think, like you said, I do agree that he's trying to maybe redeem himself on something because
he just looks like a desperate man.
He comes across like he's not like a zealot or anything, but like a true believer.
He did say he was a fan, didn't he?
Yeah,
because we had the scene where Loki was DB. What's his name?
DB Cooper.
DB Cooper, the infamous who knows who it was playing jacking, and it was Loki all along.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So I remember seeing it in the trailer, and it felt like they were going to use Loki.
He was like, "You're DB Cooper, man. That's so cool."
Yeah, it felt like they were going to use him in different timelines to do things like a bit Quantum Leap-esque.
Oh yeah, and it turns out it was just a bet between him and
Thor. It's just, basically, and that's why they never found DB Cooper.
Yeah, because he just went.
Because he went back to Asgard. Yeah. But no, like Mobius feels like he's kind of like he's well into the whole timekeeper. It feels like a religion, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like he's probably been privy to the timekeepers. He's probably one of the first. Mobius is probably one of the first, like hired or created.
Yeah.
So yeah, I believe he believes what he's doing is just.
But the thing about that is, though, I feel like there's a twist coming with them.
I do
in MCU style that they aren't just going to be three all-knowing, powerful beings. Like it's. I don't think they're going to go like Trevor Slattery kind of reveal, but I think there's going to be some kind of twist. Really, that already I feel like there's shrouded in mystery on who these people are and what.
One of them did look like
do.
Kang, but then again, this is a world where a lot of heroes and villains look very similar.
Yeah. But like that might be the thing. That might be the case. It might be a thing of Kang was one, but he got
sacked.
Like banished somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's why
he gets pissed off.
Them fucking around in the quantum realm in the Sandman film kind of brings him back.
Absolutely.
Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So it could have been that he was, and he's just not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But no, I really loved like the difference in pace to a lot of the other MCU. It started a bit slow. There was a good bit of comedy in there as well, and it just it had a bit of pathos. Is that the right word?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
And
it had some human elements to characters and creatures and people that are not human. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
By all accounts, they're not. These aren't. We're not dealing with a human at all. These are other dimensional beings. Like Loki's a ice giant. Do you know what I mean? And then we've got Mobius, who's whatever he is, and I like it. I love how it looks. It reminds me of the 70s shows like The Professionals, the 70s Avengers, not the Avengers, but Avengers. It's got that air of mystery. It did remind me a bit of like your what's his name? Who made Grand Budapest Hotel?
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, like Wes Anderson. It
had
a bit of a Wes. Obviously, Owen Wilson being there, that helps.
Yeah,
but it had a Wes Anderson vibe to it as well. Like every scene in this building was symmetry. Do you know what I mean? And there were like I noticed at least 2 posters that looked like they had foreshadowing of characters that I know exist, and they didn't even mention.
See, I think I need to have
A deep dive.
Like a proper watch through again.
Yeah.
I think maybe for our next episode, I might try and watch them twice just to see if I can spot anything like that. Because I remember in WandaVision there was so much stuff like that, and I'd come back off from watching that, and I'd read online, and people like, "Oh, did you notice this? Did you notice that? Did you notice this tiny little symbol on her, like on this?" And you just like people notice all these little things everywhere.
There was a certain book in that drawer, with all the stones that looked like a Doctor Strange book. So so who knows?
And they've also in both shows now mentioned the Nexus.
Yes. The Nexus. It's a thing that you need to keep your ears to the ground on. Trust me.
Yeah.
A Nexus could refer to 2 things: an event or a being. So just think of it that way.
Yeah, something's coming, something's happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it really. Like I say, we don't want to go too long on these.
No.
We just wanted to have a little chat about it and a little, dive into the episode.
I think what we should do every episode now, I think we should have a little 1-sentence prediction of what we think is going to happen next.
Yeah.
So, for myself, I think next episode we're going to see a decoy. I think we're going to believe that they're chasing the variant, and it's not going to be the variant we think. That's what I believe.
Damn, I'm just trying to think now, because my only theory I've got is like the overarching theory of it potentially being Wanda. But
do you think we're going to see any cameos next week?
No, but I know there's still characters still left to come in. No one big though from what they've announced, but I'm sure there's got to be a cameo somewhere in there. I don't know. What I think is obviously we're going to start to see them. Like I said in the trailer, it does look like he's going to different timelines.
Do you reckon he's suiting up next week then? That furry costume he's got on that look makes him like a Viking.
Yeah, so I think basically what we're going to get for the next few episodes is a bit of a leap through time.
A couple of time heists.
To try and find the variant. So, we know the variant's here, so Loki's going to go there, and we're going to have a little bit of an episode of the week.
I've got a feeling.
Maybe not for the whole thing, but for a few of it.
Yeah. I've got a feeling with bear in mind this is time and a variant. I think this variant would have the ability to know that it can be at 2 places at once. So I think that's going to be a factor as well, because when it comes to time, mate, anything goes.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the camp that I don't think it's Loki.
I agree with you, mate. I don't think it is. And I think Bucky's favourites for me at the moment is Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
I don't know why, but she just kind of fits that bill of someone who can...
They've given us enough time to forget about that ending to WandaVision as well.
She was fucking around with that book.
She was fucking around with the book.
And she'd split her like a bloody soul,
her
if you
essence,
want. Separately from her body.
So she knows how to do that.
Yeah, so there's nothing to stop her. Maybe she's found out about things
and canonically,
in time that needs to collect.
She's one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy.
And she's just now starting to tap that energy. So, I'm kind of going with just because of the way that little girl saying the devil and the way that the Scarlet Witch kind of get up.
I think there's something in the gift that little girl had, the chewing gum. I think there's something in that.
Yes, but I don't know what
I don't know what
said
it
on
is,
it. I can't remember. I'll have to maybe have to have a look.
There was a
back
brand
on
name,
that
wasn't there? And it made her teeth blue. So I think there may be something in that. But I absolutely do not think it's another Loki. I don't think we're going to see Tom Hiddleston versus Tom Hiddleston.
No, I don't know. That wouldn't make sense to me.
No.
I just don't know where that would come from. This one makes sense. He picked up the Tesseract. Yes. He pulled himself out of the main timeline, and this is where we're at.
Yeah.
Where does the other one come into it? It doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
And it also leaves the fact that we only got one Loki now, which is fine. We don't want to. We don't want to complicate it, because the MCU needs to remember not everyone's going to be watching these shows. So you need to come into if he's coming back into the universe, it needs to be simply explained.
Yeah, which I think they did a good job of, which is why they kind of just showed straight away that endgame stuff with it. But I like this. I like that the start of it establishes that there are stakes straight away.
Oh,
especially like Loki gets literally captured straight away, and he can't do anything about it. There's a real big mystery about it.
Mm-hmm.
It and I really like that it's kind of, with all the things of the timekeepers saying, this is the timeline, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
It's touching on, and I think it'll touch on this more, of free will versus
yes
predetermination.
Yeah, chaos and harmony. They're two big factors in Marvel as well.
So I think it'll touch on that a lot, like going forward. So
absolutely, I can't wait.
One last question before we go. Was that cat a flirking?
Yes, 100%.
Yes, I thought that.
100%. Yeah, without a doubt. I saw it, went, flirking.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Right, so we're going to leave it there, and we'll be back next week, hopefully same time, providing I'm can crack on with these edits, because I've got to do these.
There shouldn't be much to edit, pal.
No, to be honest, I might just put it out like this.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah. But hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back next week with episode 2.
Yeah, see you then.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Madam, a god doesn't plead. Look, this has been a very enjoyable pantomime, but I'd like to go home now.
Are you guilty or not guilty, sir?
Guilty of being the God of Mischief? Yes. Guilty of finding all this incredibly tedious? Yes. Guilty of a crime against the sacred timeline? Absolutely not. You have the wrong person.